As promised before the break, we are now going to decode some of these numbers, these tax slabs that are there on your screens, and also some of the other exemptions that the FM announced today in her speech. I have with me here in the studio Mr. Divya Baveja, who's a partner at Deloitte India. Mr. Baveja, you know, besides these headline numbers that came out, that really big relief that has come in for the middle class, there are also a bunch of exemptions that have come in as well. Talk to us about whether it's the the education loan part of it, the rent part of it, and also the relief that's now being given to the senior citizens. It's actually doubled from 50,000 to 1 lakh. How much of an impact that's going to be, if you could share some numbers?
Okay, so quickly, let me pick up top 2 or 3 things. You know, one is for senior citizen, you rightly said, from 50,000 the limit has gone up to 1 lakh. This is all the interest that they earn, so there is going to be no TDS. So it is obviously going to be beneficial because that avoids them all the hassle of, you know, if the tax was being deducted, then claiming a refund because they may not have those income. That was one. The other was in the context of TCS, when there was LRS, TCS was introduced on LRS.
Okay,
and
TCS, let me just tell our viewers, it's tax collected at source.
Yeah,
like
okay.
TDS is tax deducted at source, this is tax collected at source. Yes,
right, yeah.
Go ahead.
So the limit was 7 lakhs, and I think there was a demand that this is too low. So I think they have increased it to 10 lakhs. They are proposing to increase to 10 lakhs, which is a welcome move. And also
explain to us how this impacts.
See, what happens is that if I am sending any money overseas, and if it is beyond 7 lakhs, then the bank will collect some extra money from me, which is a tax collected at source, which I can offset when I pay my taxes. So it can be like an advance tax. So earlier it was 7 lakhs. So if suppose someone was paying, say, remitting more than 7 lakhs, and there are different categories. Some attract 20%, then there is on education, which is lower amount. So now, which was 5%, now they are making it nil for education, which is a good part because that's I think in a way it's looking at boosting the education part. This was the second one which is there.
Yes.
And
third and final, and then I get in Mr. Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. Third was on there's some provision on the self-occupied property. There was a provision that if you have a house, if you can't occupy a property by virtue of being employment or business, then the value is taken as nil. But now they're saying that even if you don't occupy for any reason, it will be taken as nil. So they have expanded that scope when they give the benefit of the self-occupied property. So the value will be considered as nil. I
think that's a huge relief that's come in for a lot of people. Let's now get in Mr. Sujit Paul as well as Dr. Vidya to talk more about this. Dr. Vidya, let me start with you, ma'am. As the chair of the FICCI Committee on Higher Education, Pro-Chancellor Symbiosis International University, your thoughts on the education sector, the priorities in terms of skilling and technology in the budget, indicating the government's intent in terms of how it envisages the role of education and marrying into tomorrow's economy.
Yeah, so I think it was a pleasure to hear Madam Nirmala Sitaram focusing on education, skilling, more on research, innovation, and of course specifically medical education and medical tourism, etc. So first of all, I think it's more of a technology driven. So you want to make India as a knowledge power. So naturally you need to create a good human resource, so that the economy grows and so how do you, the kind of budget allocation specifically on the tech-driven innovation seems pretty high. It was music to our ears when we heard 20,000 crores for, research and innovation, specifically related to technology. So that was good. Then increasing the seats in IITs and even the seats in medical colleges. I'm a medical doctor by training, so I was very happy to see that it's not just the increase in number of seats, but every seat needs 5 extra beds. So I'm sure along with the medical seats, the number of beds is going to increase, which means healthcare facilities will also increase. Again, increasing the Prime Minister's scholarships in the Indian Institute of Science, IITs, etc. Again, focusing on tech-driven. So I think everywhere we heard the word technology, AI, establishing centers, allocating budgets for a center for AI in education.
Not just AI, Dr. Vidya, we also heard deep tech. Even that was very much part of the budget. Hold your thoughts, ma'am. I want to quickly get in Sujit Paul, Group CEO of Zota Healthcare, with me on the broadcast as well. Mr. Paul, your thoughts on the healthcare sector? It's got about 10% hike in terms of outlay, but that's just one part of it in terms of the funding increase. Talk to us about the priorities in that and how do you see that aligning into India's long-term vision?
10% movement is just a small indicator of the whole story of people that we have and the kind of things that we really need in healthcare, more into the villages part of it. But I think the larger story that got unfolded was the increased seat in the medical colleges. That's a big thing that really shows that the finance minister is really serious that in the next 5 years, because these medical colleges, the young students who will be qualifying NEET exams, for them it will be good, and less amount of our Indian boys and girls would actually go out of country. And this would also mean in long term she is really planning that we have more physicians and clinicians with us, which are homemade. That's a big thing for a long term. But in short term also, I think we have seen multiple movements. One is from cancer. If people have heard me yesterday pre-budget, I was very hopeful that government would do lots of activities on giving for cancer relief yesterday, that's what I said, and that's exactly what happened. Today is what we found that
drugs are now exempted from tax. The life-saving drugs. Yes.
Life-saving drugs are exempted from tax. And yesterday also I mentioned that government would be working on that, and that's exactly what happened. And that yes. Cancer small slab daycares and a lot of activities on cancer vaccinations.
Indeed, sir.
I think this is a big thing for the common people who really cannot afford expensive medicine. But what, I would have been more happy if the government would have mandated all physicians and clinicians to write molecule and generic. That would be great.